a good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peekaboo! Villa in the lead!
Good evening, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe and smash the like button. You can follow me on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. As well, this evening, I have a spectacular show lined up, and I have three special guests. This evening, I'm joined by Harry Scarfe, who'll be joining me in a bit. He's the host of the Scarfey Spurs Talk podcast. We have Craig Dearman, who is from the Spurs Chat podcast. Also, Jack Grimse is back on the show again. He is an Aston Villa fan, soccer storyteller, broadcaster, and digital strategy expert. And this is the pre-match talk show. I'll be doing the match preview, and we'll be talking about later in the show Carabao Cup action. And after last night, Aston Villa lost 2-1 to Crystal Palace at Villa Park, which was a disappointing defeat. And then Tottenham will be on a real high after beating the champions Manchester City 2-1, knocking them out the competition. And we're going to talk about Sunday. And Super Sunday is a 2 p.m. kickoff in the afternoon. And this is a big game for both teams. Great to have you guys on the show. How are you?
Chad, it's so good to be back. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And Craig, it's good to have you on the show as well.
Yeah, pleasure to be on. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to Sunday's match. Obviously, after a good performance against Manchester City, always a battle with you guys. It really is. I'm of the certain vintage that I remember when you always seem to turn us over in the early 90s and Paul McGrath sort of days. You always were a tough opposition for us, and of course under Emery, you guys are doing so well at the moment as well. So it's going to be a really tough game.
Well, don't be mistaken. The Wolverhampton Wanderers colours. It's a Halloween theme. And you can see behind me that I've got a Halloween display as well, which my mum put a good effort into. So let's get into that about on Sunday. So I'll start with you first, Jack. So what do you expect from Spurs versus Aston Villa on Sunday?
Well, for Villa, I think we're going to have to shake off some of those cobwebs because it's going to be a big week. I think this match is really going to set the tone for the week with 3 matches away from home in North London, in Bruges, and then at Liverpool. So with those 3 fixtures coming up, like I said, Villa going to need to really turn it up and take the game to Spurs, but be looking ahead as we're managing multiple competitions right now.
Well, I think it's going to be a difficult challenge, but I think it's going to be a very tight game. And I think against Spurs as well, I think both teams will expect a lot of goals. And I think it's going to be a very open game. And with Tottenham and Villa, you both got pacey players. Just Craig, this game, is his son still injured?
We're expecting him to be back. It's not 100% confirmed, but he could have been fit for Thursday. In fact, he was very, very close, but he was decided to rest him. Wednesday. He decided to rest him last night and keep him for Sunday, probably because we, like a lot of teams in the Carabao Cup, it was all about rotation. And Werner come in last night and done a really good job, actually. So I think Son will be back to answer your question, yeah.
Also, I think with this game, both players are pacey players. You got lots of Brennan Johnson. You got Kuleveski. And with us, you got Watkins and Rogers. Those are sort of players that like to run in behind. And I think with Ange Costapoglu and Unai Emery, they play very similar. You know, in the high line.
Mm.
Yeah, you mentioned all of those high-flying forwards, and I think Ange and Unai are both very similar in the ways that they have their principles and they really like to stick to their principles. And sometimes, we've seen from Spurs a couple times that they've been burned, and it's happened to Villa. We've been burned trying to play Emery's football, whether it was in the early days playing it out from the back or even the other day creating just giving the ball away and creating an easy goal scoring opportunity for the opposition. Both of these managers stick to their principles, and it will be interesting to see if it's a match where someone's principles break or there's an individual error, because I don't think there's very much to separate these two teams.
Can you look back to last season's game? I remember we caught Tottenham on the offside trap. And remember, in that game, Son could have got a hat-trick. But I think it worked, the offside trap. And I think he managed it really well last season.
Yeah,
it was interesting last season because both of the away teams won, right? Like Villa took the points at North London, and Spurs demolished Villa at Villa Park after McGinn's red card. That was, I think, one of the worst matches I remember watching. It was probably full of joy for Craig, though.
Well, it was, but up until McGinn got the red card, from what I remember, it was quite an even match. I think that sending off, as with most times, a team gets a man sent off, and certainly such an important player as McGinn was to you. Then we obviously dominated that game and went on to win comfortably. But yeah, I agree that two teams that play high lines, there's certainly going to be goals. Or you think there's going to be a lot of goals in this game on Sunday. And it should be a good watch for the neutral, I'd imagine. I'm not sure it's going to be a good watch for either of us because it's going to be back and forth. But, that's why we watch football, isn't it?
I think as well, last season, like Emery, it was a tactical masterclass. When I go back to that Spurs game, that was a crucial win for Villa for the top 4 race. If you go back to that game.
I think even the past 2 seasons, right, for the Conference League and then for the Champions League, and it's surprised Craig's even willing to talk to us because Villa's been pipping Spurs to that spot a couple of years in a row. But it's really, honestly, I think for us as villains, it's just amazing to kind of be in these places, in these conversations, and I know, Chad, you're just enjoying the ride as well.
It's special being a Villa fan. The thing reminds me of Unai Emery. He's transformed the football club. I mean, I would never thought when he came in 2 years ago that we would have been in the Champions League. It's just remarkable.
Yeah. He obviously managed our rivals down here, Arsenal. So he didn't do particularly brilliantly at Arsenal, but he's obviously always going to have that connection with them. So when he went to Villa, totally transformed you guys, got you playing really good attacking football. Obviously, brought in some very good players. You've got some very dangerous players that we're going to be worried about on Sunday. So it's going to be a really tough game, like I say. But yeah, I am looking forward to it.
The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. For a lot of teams, It's a difficult place to go to.
Yeah, it is. It is. We've got a really good home record. Actually, our away form isn't particularly good. I think we've had 3 wins in 2024 away from home, which is not brilliant. Probably surprises a lot of people. But Ange Postecoglou is not even in the middle of this project, this rebuild. When he took over at the club, it was in a mess after Conte. Obviously, we just finished that season with a mixture of Stellini and Ryan Mason, so it was a bit of a mess when he took over in the summer. So, and we needed to clear out a load of players, which he's done and he's still doing. But he's really starting to get this squad formed. But as you guys know, you've got to give a manager time, and I don't think a lot of clubs give managers enough time nowadays. It's so easy to push the panic button and bring somebody else in. Then you start the whole process over again, and you're never going to get anywhere if you do that. You've got to trust the process, trust the manager.
They need to be patient. Good luck with Emery. We did that with Emery. He got given the keys to the castle with the board and the owners, and he's got the whole control.
Yeah.
And so Craig, what have you made of Spurs so far this season? And do you think Ange Postecoglou will succeed with the project?
We've been a bit up and down this season, without a doubt. Obviously, the thing is, apart from in the Premier League, I'm talking here. Apart from the Palace game last weekend, we've dominated and played very well in every game this season so far. We've had enough chances in every game where we should have won. I know it's easy to say, but we should have won a lot of games this season. We should have definitely beaten Leicester on the opening day. Newcastle away, where it's been troublesome ground for us over the last few years, we should have won that game. We just haven't been clinical enough, and it's partly due to players still learning, partly due to just not being clinical enough in the situations where you've got to be clinical. You're not going to get a load of chances at St James's Park, but we had enough to win that game, for example. Is he going to succeed? I'm still 100% behind this manager. I am. I'm fully behind the project. When you remember our last 3 managers were Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, and Nuno Espirito Santo. I'm sure you guys think fondly of being the ex-manager of Wolves. But they were so pragmatic. They were all pragmatic, and dare I say it, and some supporters would say this, that they were boring type of football managers to have Ange come in and play this exciting brand of football. The trouble he's got is where we're so attacking, it does leave us exposed at the back, and that's sometimes we haven't got worked out. So we are going to concede goals. We are going to give up chances. It's just getting that balance right. And you can see little things coming together, like the City game last night. We handled that well. We were obviously against City, you're going to be on the back foot a lot of the time, no matter who's in their team, because they're absolute class. But I think it was part of our game plan last night to sit back actually and then hit them on the counter, and it worked. It really did work. They had a lot of possession. Didn't have many clear-cut chances. Vicario wasn't diving around making saves here and everywhere, but it seemed to work, the plan last night. And we could have scored 4 or 5 goals last night with some really good chances, but we're over the line. And I think this cup is probably our best chance of silverware this season, and the first trophy since 2008. So we're desperate for something good to happen, because it's been so many years since we managed to lift a trophy.
I mean, Spurs, they've got a new identity now. And I really like their style of play. I do think Postecoglou is the right man for the job. I just think they need to keep consistent during the whole season.
Yeah.
I think results as well. The results for you are going to be important, even the qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah. It's gonna be a stretch this year to push for Champions League. I mean, as you know yourselves, how much it takes it out of you when you're actually competing in it, and all the other cups and then league, and it's balancing the squad, giving players minutes, and making sure those players are not getting overworked. It's a big ask, and for us to break into that top four, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But you ask most Spurs fans, would you take a trophy and finish 5th or 6th? 100% they would. Most of them, yeah.
Yes, so Harry's on the show.
Hi, thank you very much. You're all right. Thank you very much for having me on.
That's it, no problem. What have you made of Spurs so far, Harry?
Just listening to what Craig said, by the way, I think Craig's absolutely spot on. I think the majority of Spurs fans would take that trophy, and I think that win against Manchester City meant so much. 16 years without a trophy is a long while for a club like Tottenham. So while this game means a lot against Aston Villa, it is just for league position. In an attempt to qualify for the Champions League. It's realistically, at the moment, not a trophy we can win. It's just a progressing, but it's still a big game. And I think for a Spurs point of view, one that if we lose, it makes it hard. It's that backlog. You're already a decent gap between Tottenham and Villa, and that kind of gap from us to other top 4 teams. At Chelsea, it's small at the moment, but you only can, if we're not careful, can get bigger and bigger. So it's been a mixed start to the season, but a really good win in the week, which hopefully is a good morale and confidence booster for the team.
I think Spurs as well. They need to improve their away form. If you get, for example, that Brighton game, you were 2-0 up. Then you capitulated to 3-2.
Absolutely.
So that's something that you need to improve on.
Yeah, definitely. Only 3 wins on the road in this calendar year as well.
Well, it's not good.
So I'm going to go to the Spurs perspective. So, Harry, what did you make of the Crystal Palace performance?
Not great. I think Ange Vicario kind of summarised it perfectly after the game. It was a kind of lack of fight, a really strange game. The one that kind of I relate to from last season is Fulham, Craven Cottage, my first away day, where we were never really in the game. And it sounds strange to say, obviously winning that game in both of those games, thinking we'd probably win it, but we just were never in it. I don't know if there's a mindset or mentality going into it, but it did look like a lack of fight. Nothing worked. The midfield balance was wrong. Palace got it right. They fought hard, defended well, used their strengths on the counter-attack. Obviously, it's a poor goal from us to concede a mistake out from the back. So, really frustrating. Didn't really see that coming, and it felt like, if we won that, it would have given us confidence going into this week. But then we've unexpectedly, I would say, won against Manchester City. Because I know they made a few changes, but still a strong City team. Foden in it. Bernardo Silva was on for large parts as well. So it's a surprising week. The opposite way round, you'd think it would happen, but that Palace performance wasn't good. But luckily, that's a good thing with playing, several games in a few days. You can put it behind you quickly.
I think poor decision making let you down. And also, I think in that game against Crystal Palace, you created decent opportunities, but you wasn't clinical enough. Didn't take your chances.
Yeah, definitely.
Another day you might have won that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what sticks out to me about Ange Ball is there's always going to be plenty of chances. They might not all be very clear cut, but Spurs are going to have some goal scoring opportunities.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Harry will back me up here. We've had so many chances this season and put balls into areas that, especially against Newcastle, we did a whole review of that game on the Spurs Chat podcast, and looking at areas of the pitch where the centre forward should be. We had Son playing centre forward that game, and Son is not a number 9. So if we'd had somebody like Solanke or even Richarlison, I don't think Richarlison is the answer long term for Tottenham, but he is a number 9. Johnson put in a couple of balls, and it was into perfect areas, and there was nobody there to finish it off. So we're masters of our own downfall in that game, and the same against Palace. I mean, there was just the other problem we've got, in my opinion, is true leadership on the pitch. There's just on occasions there's not been that well, that leader just to shout and not necessarily shout and scream and bully. Yeah, communication, or to say, come on, lads, we got this. You don't see anything like that. You don't hear it from Romero. You don't see it from Maddison. I think Son brings a certain something. But Son's kind of leads by example, a bit like Harry Kane used to do.
Yeah.
Vicario is a bit of a leader, but again, it's the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper, he's not in the middle of it all the time. So we are lacking that leader type role. And the one player we did have was Højbjerg. Not everybody's favourite player, but he was that player that could get the team going. And I get he had to leave, but we're missing that monster number 6, in my opinion. I don't know what you think, Harry.
Absolutely, no, I completely agree with you. I think you're just spot on with everything, and it's frustrating. And what you kind of mentioned as well, and also defensively, it's the same type of goal that seems to be conceded. Even City, a good result, but how many times at back post, simple ball in the box? Okay, we deal with the players in and around the box, but it's the back post, so it's frustrating. But I do think we lack that number 6. I really like Basuma, and I think when he's on it, he's really good. But for him, I think it's a consistency thing. Ben Sky I really like. Is he going to stay fit? Is he going to get a ban? We still don't know. So there's a lot, heavily reliant on that. But I feel like the midfield balance isn't quite right at the moment. We just need to find the best 3 in there. Kulusevski has to be in there. He's been really good in that new position. For me, he's been our best player of the season. 2 assists against City as well. I think everything positive, he's involved in. Maddison started the season well. His form's been a bit up and down recently. Still that kind of box midfielders. Yeah, you're right, Craig. I do think we lack that number 6. And you mentioned Højbjerg there. A lot of people criticise him, but he's done that. He's done the dirty work. And I think last night's win against Manchester City was massive. Because I think sometimes winning like that helped us. Sometimes you have to give blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes you have to, ditch the normal way of playing, and let's just make sure you get the result, especially in cup competitions. Just progress. That's all that matters. But also still in the league as well. I don't think it should matter how you play as long as you get the job done. So I think Ange really enjoyed the fact we got the result. I think the players worked really hard for it. And after a disheartening, I would say, Crystal Palace performance, that was a really, really good performance to be proud of against Man City, regardless of what team they put out. But Craig, I do completely agree with you.
I think Vicario, I really like him actually. And against Crystal Palace, he pulled off some great saves. He's a very good shot stopper. But apart from Martinez, I think he's up there with the best Premier League goalkeepers. The likes of Martinez, Alisson Becker, and Vicario's up there for me.
Yeah. He's. I'd agree with that. I think he's certainly one of the best shot stoppers in the league. He has got his frailties, like we've seen from set pieces and corners. He does flap a bit. Last night he flapped at one. Bissouma was there to bail him out with a clearance off the line. I'm not quite sure how he got to it, but that obviously saved us going to 2-2 and penalties, which I don't think my heart could have taken. But Vicario, the way we play out the back, and you will see this on Sunday, but of course you press high, Watkins will press high.
Yeah,
it gives me a heart attack watching us push out from the back and trying to play it out. And that's the way that Ange wants to play, and we will continue to do that. But I'd just like to see us change it up a little bit sometimes and just go long, get rid of the ball. We don't seem to want to do it because we don't get it right all the time. We're not quite there with it yet. So you watch out for that on Sunday, because there'll be moments and times when you'll probably catch us out, and it's whether you can capitalise on that. And if we can't play through the press, we do play ourselves into trouble sometimes.
I think that's been a growing pain as well for Villa under Emery, playing it out from the back instead of hoofing it long, and sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. That's part of the game control he's trying to establish, and that's the rigidity the manager provides, and that's how it's going to be.
I mean, Spurs as well. They need to keep injury free. I think with Spurs, I think injuries worry me with them. If they can keep their key players fit, they might be in for a good season.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, Jack, let's talk about last night. disappointment going out the Carabao Cup. So what is your thoughts for Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace?
I mean, definitely disappointed. Like you said, like we've been talking about with Harry and Craig, as there's not very many teams left in this competition. It is a realistic shot to win a trophy. I think with the League Cup, if you consider yourself a big club or even a team that can just make a cup run, this is going to be one of your best shots to win a trophy, because there just really aren't that many games to win, and a lot of clubs see it as an opportunity for rotation. So on one hand, a little disappointed, because, you know, football at the top level is about winning things. It's not about winning fourth. But Champions League qualification is so important for Villa. It can allow us to build that financial base to take the next step. And really, I think that's what we need to do. And you know, Unai's got it right, prioritizing the league. He made 10 changes to the 11. And so, you know, walking away from it, I was disappointed, but I was pretty impressed with how well our second 11 did, because that wasn't the first team. Tyrone Mings came back after 445 days away. It's great to see him back in there. And a lot of our team is returning to fitness. So, you know, it's not the best to go out of a cup, but we have a lot of other things that we're looking forward to.
And Jack, what would you prefer? A top four or winning a trophy?
Yeah, you know, it's like a loaded question, right? Because you obviously want to do them both. And I think Unai Emery, if he wins a trophy, he'll get a statue outside of Villa Park. He's that loved. And he will get a statue even if he wins the Carabao Cup one time. And that's it. And he knows that. But he knows that taking the club to the Champions League consistently is more important at this point. Because if you want to win the Champions League, you have to start qualifying, make sure you can keep buying players, and stay out of the financial sanctions, because otherwise you're going to be in trouble. So unfortunately, as I would love to win a trophy, and I think that's something that Villa needs to do. Like you guys said, 16 years is too long for a club of Spurs size. For Villa, it's been even longer, and we need to win a trophy. But at this time, getting top four is slightly more important.
For the trophies, Henry, trophies will come. Just going to take time. I think it will happen.
That's how I see it.
And that's not as well, Jack. We rested a lot of our key players. Martinez, Cash didn't play. Powell didn't play. Consa. Junior Onana, Tielemans, Rogers and Watkins. So we rested most of the team. But I think it rightly so. We've got some big games coming up.
Yeah, and like Boubacar Kamara's just coming back to fitness. We can't push these guys too much in too many games. McGinn played like 60 games last year, and he finally had a hamstring injury this year. What a surprise! You know, if you're working that hard, there are going to be injuries. So just being able to rotate, and you listed off all those guys who completely got the night off. They weren't even on the bench. I think it was a big opportunity for John Duran to show what he can do leading the line from the start. He scored, but maybe needs to get a little more involved in the build-up play. For Ian Matson, he hasn't been the starting left back. He's been behind Luka Dean. That's a big opportunity for him. And for Kosta Nedjokovic to be starting at right back. We saw him at the beginning of the season, but it's kind of phased out a little bit. So for some of these younger guys or fringe players, it's a big chance for them to make their mark.
And Tyrone Mings, even though we didn't keep a clean sheet, he put in some good tackles. It's great to have him back. And Kamara, Kamara was excellent.
Yeah, Kamara saved us on a couple occasions, but I noticed Mings yelling at Joe Gauchi after I think one time he didn't come out to sweep it off, and you can see from his face he was like, "Where were you?" And personally, I'm excited to see. Maybe it will be in the league, maybe it will be in the Champions League or something. But for Mings and Konsa to partner each other at center back, that will be fun to see them finally back on the pitch together.
Mings is a good leader.
Yeah, we definitely missed his vocal nature.
But last time we will get Harry in a minute, hopefully. But also, I want to talk about Dr. Kamara. He breaks up the play really well. He wins the ball back really quickly. Also, I like that sort of player that does that sort of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm surprised we played as well as we did without him because he's so crucial to the team. And starting the season without Kamara, without Douglas Luiz, Tielemans has stepped up massively, and he's just that good of a player. But it's kind of been everyone else stepping up when some of the regular starters have not been there.
And Kamara as well. A bit like Tielemans sometimes. He likes to eye the needle pass. He draws really forward as well.
Yeah, I love watching him play. I think he's also a little bit of a throwback player because you see how hard he's working. He's sweated through his shirt within 5 minutes, and people say he's not very athletic, which I think is a little rude to him and probably rude to anyone who's playing at that level. But yeah, he maybe is not as I don't know, not as much of a robot as some of these other players who are just specimens out of a lab, like Project Mbappe or something,
And going back to the defeat, a lot of the players don't really play together often. So, yeah, it was obviously going to be difficult. But who was your standout performer, Jack?
Yeah, that's tough. I think Kamara did really well. I don't know. Philogene has impressed me with his defending. He's like a pit bull up there. He's always pursuing the ball. I really like how he defends from the front as well. Yeah, I would say probably Kamara.
And Craig, I'll bring you into this talking point. So how do you feel about Martinez winning the Yashin Trophy the second time? Still the best goalkeeper in the world?
Well, look, World Cup winner. When we were looking for a keeper, Martinez was at the top of my list. To be honest with you, I thought he would have been perfect for Tottenham. He's exactly what you need. He's huge, isn't he? He's got massive buckets for hands, and he's just good at every element of goalkeeping. I don't think he's got a weakness. So as regards the Lev Yashin Trophy, he fully deserved for me. It's actually good to see other teams' goalkeepers get it rather than the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, Liverpool's, Manchester United, whoever that may. These big teams that. I know Messi and Ronaldo were streets ahead of a lot of people over the years, but there were some seasons when I thought Messi probably didn't deserve the Ballon d'Or and he won it. And I just think it's good that other teams' players are getting a look in. Obviously, it was a bit different for the Ballon d'Or, but I fully deserved for Martinez.
He's the first goalkeeper to actually do that. To get 2 times in a row each season. I was really happy for him.
Yeah.
He's always working hard. And we look at Aston Villa. He's one of our most important players. Without Martinez, we'd be lost without him. He's the spine of our team.
Yeah.
I mean, he really sets the tempo, right? Like, we miss him not necessarily just for his shot stopping or just for his leadership, but the way he's confident playing the ball out, playing with his feet, and distributing it around the back. We just in addition to the it factor, I was also thinking during the match last night, I was like, well, if we go to penalties, we don't even have Martinez. So what's the point? But, even without that, just the way that he starts us off playing is crucial to the style. And I think that's something you guys have with Vicario too.
So Harry, what do you make of Martinez?
Yeah, I think Craig summarised it perfectly, and Jack as well. I think that Martinez is really important for you, and along with Craig, for me, you said to me not that long ago, Martinez would have been maybe not if he's not at the top, he'd certainly be near the top of goalkeepers that I would have wanted, maybe up with David Raya and a couple of others at the time. So no, he's been really good, and I think you need that presence. Not only is he a good goalkeeper, but that presence where he's valuable to you, but the opposition is kind of annoying. Shithousery, some people would say. I think you need that. He has that. Yeah, dark arts, exactly that. And I think you need that. He winds up people and has done really well. So no, I'm with Craig in terms of there's no visible weakness for him. You would have looked at him and thought he's going to struggle to get down, but he makes it look easy, good with his feet. Really confident keeper. His head's in the game. So no, he's really good for club and country, and deserves that award, I think, regardless of whatever club you support. And I'm with Craig as well in terms of it's good to see not just the big teams picking up the trophies. Their players should go to whoever's been best, and Martinez thoroughly deserved this.
I think going back to how Emery's system, he does it well, the sweeper keeper role. He's very good with his feet, Martinez. He sort of slows the play down as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we saw it in the Conference League when we were missing him at the end of it, just when Villa needed to slow the game down. He wasn't there to do it, and Olympiacos took advantage.
And also, he always pulls off match-winning sides. But there's always a guy that he always comes up with something heroic. I think that with Aston Villa goalkeepers, he's arguably one of the best Aston Villa goalkeepers, with alongside Mark Bosnich.
Yeah, I mean the save he made in the World Cup final was it against Mbappe? Yeah. But it would have won it with his foot. It's just an incredible save. So he's a big keeper for a big. He's a big game player. He's a big keeper for and he's a big game player, and that's what you need. You're right. You can see he's a leader from the back. I said I don't like goalkeepers as captains, but you can see he's got that presence and that voice that gives the defence confidence, and that if your defence has got confidence in the keeper, you're halfway there to a successful team. And he is intrinsic and a massive part of why Villa have done so well over the last few years.
Yeah, because Martinez is a winner, that winning mentality, and he gives the team a lift. I think his presence around us. And another thing to mention as well, we have to give a lot of credit to Dean Smith signing Martinez, because he obviously saw what a talented player he's going to be. But I actually can't believe that Arsenal sold him. That really surprised me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of had a revolving door of goalkeepers until Raya came in. So I think it was just the case of they maybe didn't know what they had.
Yeah. You saw him, was it that season? The lockdown season, wasn't it? Or just after, yeah?
Yeah, just after. I think there were still no fans in the stands when the new season had started. But yeah, he was playing for Arsenal when Trezeguet scored at Villa Park, I think, against Arsenal when we beat them to avoid relegation. So he even helped us then.
Okay. Well, Harry, so how will Spurs set up tactically against Aston Villa on Sunday?
Good question. I think Ange Postecoglou is quite predictable in his principles, if you like, and the way he's going to come across this. But I think there is a few positions maybe up for debate. I think the midfield will cause the most discussion among the fan base. I think the majority of us are in agreement that Kulusevski's got to be in there. Pape Massé will withdraw at half time, so maybe I was just thinking ahead of this game, he's the right player for Villa. maybe quite the opposite. You just don't know, I suppose, with Ange Postecoglou. Actually, it'd be the same for you guys. If Unai Emery, you don't know these little things that managers see. I mean, Pep's the master of it. We've just played them, and little things that players are brought off, like a half-time Ruben Diaz. To me, it makes absolutely no sense unless he's injured. Right, Ruben Diaz would have off, but they're probably something that Pep's seen there, some tiny centimetre off where he should be, and that's what he's paid the big bucks for, if you like. So no, I'm not kind of sure what the team will look like. I think we're massively reliant on whether Son's available or not. Timo Werner obviously did get his first goal of the season against Man City. Hopefully, it's a massive confidence booster for him. But still, having Son available is big, even as just an option off the bench. That option to have considering the teams. That midfield will be interesting. That's the only thing I'm not quite sure it will look like. Van der Ven, I think, will miss this game. Hopefully, he's not out for too long. Dragusin will slot in there. I don't have any worries there. So I'm not quite sure what the team look like. But tactically, we want the ball. We play our way. We invert the full-backs and we try and win the game.
I think in the midfield, that could be a key battle.
Absolutely.
Like last season, that was crucial. To where we play.
And you've got a good midfield as well, with Onana as well in there, and McGinn. You talked about
Tielemans.
Yeah, Tielemans.
To me, it's all about the press resistance, right? Because Spurs are going to pack additional bodies in there, and if they can get to the ball quicker, if they can win those duels, then it could be a long afternoon for whichever side's not winning that battle.
Yeah. Yuri Tielemans, he really dictates the play. In that midfield, I think you can just see a pass.
Jack mentions there about the press. I think absolutely spot on. And one thing in our win against you at Villa Park, that quite big win last year, was how important Bentancur was. And you were spot on with the press. One thing that he was given the role to do, I'm pretty sure, was press, and that's something he done really well. False mistakes which happened, and we look at that. John McGinn red card. That's Bentancur being frustrated in all game with the press, trying to nip the ball off of him. Not often, did he get the ball back, but he's constantly, wanting the ball at that high intensity. So can relate players like for us, like Bentancur, Richarlison, Son, if he's fit, that press will be really important for Spurs. I think you're spot on, and that midfield is where the game will be run. And Aston Villa, you strengthen your midfield options and ultimate quality in that first 11. And I think for Spurs, it's what midfield three do you go with? It could be massive.
But it's going to be interesting where you guys set up. But who is your best players in your squad?
Good question. Right now, I'll probably go with Kulusevski. I think who, as I said earlier, he's been our player of the season. So he's in a purple patch of form, if you like. So he's the one to keep an eye on. Solanke as well hasn't been getting the goals and assists. Got a lot of, I suppose, criticism from other fans that look at his stats and go, "This is why have Spurs done this?" But if you actually look at his game, his hold-up play, his movement, he's crucial to everything positive in an attacking way for Spurs. So, them two in particular, I would say. But Johnson's pace over the top, Werner, if he comes on, a few things like that to watch out for, the inverted full-backs. So what's nice about the Spurs team is that the quality and threat, I suppose, is shared throughout the team. Never write anything off. If you stop forwards, Pedro Porro will take on a shot. Van der Ven obviously won't be fit. If he would progress and want to take a shot. And we saw at Old Trafford just what he's capable of, confidence to step forward. So, we have potential problems for you coming from everywhere, but so do you. From that midfield, from that attack, from the overlapping centre backs. So this game is really interesting and could be won by fine margins.
I think Dominic Solanke really suits to the way Tottenham play.
Absolutely.
You saw him from Bournemouth, but I knew he was always going to go to Spurs. Out of all the teams that he was going to choose, it's the right move for him, I think, as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
And Timo Werner. Let me start. He started the Carabao Cup. He started, didn't he? I think,
Yeah,
he did.
Started scoring.
He did.
Did he score?
Yeah, he did. And Timo Werner, he's a bit of an enigma. I was in favour of it. We signed him on loan last January for 6 months. It was primarily because of injuries and Son being away. We really needed somebody on that left-hand side, and he did the job. And he didn't play badly. He had some off games, but he was okay. And then we re-signed him on loan in the summer, which a lot of fans, me included, thought it was a bit strange. But for the cost of it, knowing our chairman like I think I do, then it kind of made financial sense. But this is his first goal last night of the season. His confidence was rock bottom. But the thing is with Timo Werner, he just kept going and going. And look, you throw enough darts, you're going to hit the dartboard eventually. And last night, his first chance he scores. So pleased for him. So pleased for him. He could have had a hat trick, to be fair, last night. He was very unlucky with a couple after that. Whether he'll be fit, we don't know. It looks like he was a bit of tightness in his groin, so whether that's just fatigue, we don't know. To be honest, I couldn't hand on heart tell you who's fit for Tottenham. Van der Ven, like Harry said, I think is definitely going to be out. Romero was withdrawn, I think precautionary, so I think Romero will be there. We got Odegaard out long term. Son, I think personally will play, whether he'll start, but we're actually quite limited up front. Richarlison is back now. Solanke should be fit, although he was hobbling around a bit last night, but I think that was just a bang rather than a muscle. Johnson obviously been in form, scored 7 or 8 goals in as many games, hasn't scored for the last 2, but yeah, he's hitting form. So, but I totally agree with Harry. I couldn't pick the midfield because we just don't know. You would think, if I had to guess, I would say Kulusevski and Maddison. But when we haven't got a Bissouma in the middle, although Sarr can, can put the tackles in, I think sometimes against certain teams you need 2 battlers in the middle, and having Kulusevski and Maddison play together in the middle can be a bit lightweight, I think, sometimes. I don't know what you think, Harry. What do you think about that? Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you.
And Timo Werner, is he good off the bench? Good impact substitution?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
I mean, when you can bring on anyone with that much pace, they're going to change the game.
I'm with Craig. I'm with Craig in terms of it made sense for him to come in last season for Son. I actually think he done well, better than some people give him credit for. And I didn't expect it to happen again this year, but again, Craig says spot on. Financially, made sense. I suppose if you look at it from the point of view that owners do and think about the business and that type of thing. And then I thought about his pace and Ange's system, but obviously he hasn't had a good start to the season. But Craig hits the nail on the head. I couldn't be happy for him that he got that goal last night. And there's some I think fans can criticise the signing of Werner, but I feel a lot of people take their frustration out that he's here on him rather than the owners, rather than the board. There should be no one grumbling about him scoring last night. I don't, I differentiate the social media fans, the minority that will be like that, but there's some that won't be happy that Werner scored. But I hope he can push on. And Craig can vouch for this. I don't think either of us think he's going to score 10, 15, 20 goals this year, but we hope this is the start of more confidence in front of goal, more goal contributions, a few goals here and there, even if it's off the bench, and just something that I think of the Europa League. I think of Galatasaray. I have in my head for some reason. I just think as they tire that type of opposition and a bigger stage, Werner's pace could be key. And if he just composes himself, a little bit more, he could be really important. But Craig's right; could have got a hat trick in that game. Did miss sadly a couple of big chances after that, but looked more confident. I felt more confident that he was going to score after he got that first one. And even though the ones he missed, he still took them with more confidence without scoring. Which is good. So I hope.
He's like a pure confidence player. Like even if he doesn't hit those Leipzig numbers, like his confidence was shattered from Chelsea. And personally, I've been following Werner for more than 10 years. Like when he was at Stuttgart and just an up and coming talent. But if Ange likes him and if he's fitting in the system and and he's feeling good and playing well, like you said, Harry, I think he could be a game changer in Europa League and just a positive contributor in the Premier League.
Absolutely.
So, Harry,
Yeah.
do you think Tottenham are good enough this season to qualify for the Champions League?
Wow, that's the ultimate question we all want the answer to. To be honest with you, Chad, I'm afraid I can't give you an answer because I watched that performance against Crystal Palace and it's an absolute solid no. Then I see that against Manchester City and go, do you know what? Maybe. So I'm not quite sure. I'm going to say that I think we'll be in and around that top four battle come the end of the season. But at this moment in time, I think we might just miss out to someone like yourself. But a lot can change. Yeah, we win this game and then things are different. I know this is really early on, but I do see this as a mini 6-pointer, if you like. And I think it's a case for Spurs is a must not lose. I think it's a must not lose because I think if we lose this, we fall quite far behind of that battle already. But no, I can't give you an ultimate answer to that. I hope we're in the top four, but we could be 16th, 17th for all I care if we win the Carabao Cup. Yeah, Wednesday for me was that priority. We got the job done. Did say earlier, blood, sweat, and tears to get there, but we did get there. So my focus is on winning that trophy, and maybe Europa League. We could prioritise, kill two birds with one stone in terms of if you win it. Massive if, I know, with the new European formats, it's longer this year.
Well, both teams.
Games, but yeah,
it's big for both teams.
It is big for both teams, but with the Europa League, if you win it, you automatically qualify for the Champions League. So that saves Spurs having to worry. I still think we should focus on the league, but I think some people make it maybe even bigger thing than it is. But this game is going to be spectacular for the neutral, I think.
And also, with the top four race, it's going to be a very tight this season. Also, you got Aston Villa, got the likes of Chelsea. I think Newcastle might be in there, and also, I wouldn't rule out Brighton.
Yeah. Rule out Man United either. They bring Ruben Amorim in, and they get the January recruitment right. And that sounds funny at the moment, and Jack, you laugh there, and I think you're absolutely right. United have been awful, but
United could do it.
Okay, look at the confidence against. I know it's Leicester, but if you watch a few clips back, that's the team. I think they're happy to see the back of Ten Hag. So I think whoever it be, I think it will be Amorim. I think they just give them a confidence booster. Just even if it's now to the end of the season, look at when Ten Hag came in. It's the same. That instant reaction, the trophy in his first season. I think it'll be a bit like that. So I do back Man United to be in that conversation.
Well, I remember before Aston Villa got Unai Emery, we were linked with Amorim. I remember.
Yeah.
And I think, I'll tell you all I worry about, who could be a big threat for Villa, is Chelsea. Because I think under Maresca, they're playing some exciting attacking football. Got likes of Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto, Nicholas Jackson scoring. But they have got some dangerous players.
They have. Sancho been added this year. Yeah, they've definitely got talent, especially in attacking positions.
And Cole Palmer can't start scoring.
Yeah, they've been our nemesis for the last 30 years. I think previous to when I can't remember when it was. Dele Alli. I remember Dele Alli scoring a goal from an Eric Dyer pass. That was about our only win that I can remember. Certainly only one or two since Gary Lineker got the winner in 1991 or something like that. So Stamford Bridge is not a happy hunting ground for us. And Chelsea as a team, even when they come to our place, it's always a nightmare. I'm just fed up of us going to Stamford Bridge and coming away with nothing. Terrible place.
I think it's sick of the side to them.
Yeah, well, Liverpool away hasn't been happy. Emirates hasn't been happy for us, but that's half our problem. Like Newcastle hasn't been great for us the last 3 seasons away. It's like the furthest journey for all the fans, the away fans, and the other season obviously conceding 5 by half time or sort of 5 in the first 20 minutes or something like that. Just terrible, And these are the games that we consistently do badly in. It's against the top 6. We're always capable, and Harry will totally back me up on this. I know he will. We're always capable of losing to with respect to any of these teams I mentioned, a Leicester, a Southampton, a Bournemouth, teams that you should be looking to beat, we're always capable of dropping points against them because we're Tottenham. It's what we do. You know, there's a saying you might not have heard it. It's called "Dr. Tottenham will see you now." You know, if you're feeling bad, we'll come along and make you feel a lot better. You know,
that's been the case for Villa in the cups. Like, I think that's why there was so much outrage about not fielding a stronger 11 yesterday, and you know that's why I laughed when Harry mentioned Man United, because they've pretty much been fulfilling that role for Villa.
Were you annoyed, Jack, that you didn't put out a full strength team? Because I know a lot of Tottenham fans wanted Ange to go very strong against City yesterday, because a lot of us think this is the best chance we've got to try. I agree, the Europa League, but I think we've got a cracking chance because there's no dropouts from the Champions League coming down into Europa League this season. And I think I'm right in saying, I could be talking absolute rubbish, but the last 7 or 8 seasons, I think it's been won by 5 or 6 times by a team that's dropped down from the Champions League. I could be talking absolute rubbish, but something like that.
I think you're right, and with that format change,
you're right.
It's much more advantageous for the clubs that actually start in the competitions. But to answer your question, not too annoyed, just because of the landscape and because of this week that's coming up with, you know, if we had stumbled in the Champions League so far, I would have been thinking, all right, all the eggs in the League Cup basket. But at this point, with Tottenham and then going to Bruges with a chance to stay at the top of the Champions League table, like a win in that game will net us £2 million or euros. I'm not sure which, but a win in the League Cup is probably getting a few peanuts. Like, if that's just the financial state of the club, and I would love to win a trophy, but I do understand.
A big thing as well, but with Spurs, will they fall at the final hurdle? Because last season, I remember, towards the end of the season, a bad run of results let them down. So can they keep it up?
You're right. I mean, it's not just last season. We've kind of, the forever the bridesmaid, never the bride in some regards. You know, the Champions League final in 2019. We've lost semi-finals against Manchester United. I think who was it? Harry, remind me. Was it Poch that played Michel Vorm in the semi-final against United? Was that right?
I think that was right. Yeah, it's something like that, wasn't it? That was just unexpected completely.
Just bizarre. Son playing right wing back against Chelsea, I seem to remember, in another big game.
At Wembley. Yeah, I remember that. That was it. Awful.
Yeah. So we've been unlucky. We have been unlucky. That handball by Sissoko in the Champions League final following season wouldn't have been given because the rule changed. So it spoiled the final. Really did. But you know, Liverpool were bad that day. We were just worse. So, you know, we are forever. We shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes, don't get me wrong, but the luck sometimes hasn't been with us as well.
Well, I'm going to come to the final question. So, Jack, I'll ask you this one. So, including Champions League, got a lot of tough fixtures coming up, including Spurs, Club Brugge and Liverpool. So how do you think Aston Villa will manage with difficult fixtures coming up?
Well, I think Unai's already started to try to manage the rotation and the playing load on the players. I'm not sure if your question means what are my predictions for those results. If that's the case, I think we'll win 2 and draw 1 of them, but I'm not sure which one. You can't take any game for granted, but I think we will beat Club Brugge even in Belgium, and then Spurs and Liverpool. Hopefully we can beat one of them, and if we get 4 points out of those 2 games, I'd be pretty happy with that. Both being away from goal.
The good thing as well, we're still top of the Champions League.
Yeah, exactly. So, like Craig was saying, if you win the competition, you'll be in again next year. So I guess if the league form stumbles, you got to put it all in the Champions League basket.
Well, as an Aston Villa fan, I can't be any more happy at the moment. I don't think things are going to get better. I mean, who knows? Who knows Emery? I mean, he knows Europe. And he got Villarreal to a Champions League semi-final. So
I mean, how well has he
get,
done? How well has he done with you? I mean, I read the other day, just over 2 years ago now, since he came, into the club, you're 17th, and now you're back in that Champions League, back fighting, and obviously out of the competition now, but back fighting in the latter stages of competitions. It's just a complete transformation. And I think you mentioned Dean Smith earlier. I think he done well with you, and some of the recruitment under him that's now come out that he suggested really good, and I think really intelligent guy that knew what he was doing. And I know there has been investment there for Emery, but I just think he's an excellent manager, and I think Arsenal made a massive mistake. And I mean, Craig will be absolutely glad they didn't, if it turns out to be that way. That they didn't stick with him, because they spent huge amounts of Arteta, probably more than you have under Emery, and they haven't got that trophy. I think that you're closer than Arsenal. This is going to be unpopular, but getting a trophy, and I'm not saying the league, but I'm saying domestically. I know you're out of the Carabao Cup, you've still got the FA Cup to come, still got the Champions League. I don't think you'll win it, but I have full faith that you'll progress. And last year it was a question like when you progressed in the Conference League, there's times where you struggled to balance that in the Premier League, so the board backed Unai Emery and brought in that depth, and now you look be able to manage both. I know you dropped points right at the depth against Bournemouth, but that could have nearly been the perfect week in all competitions for you. So I think Villa is very good to be a Villa fan right now, and I think you're not that far away from getting to that next level. And Unai Emery is certainly the man to do that.
I mean, Unai Emery is building a legacy at Villa Park. A bit like what Sir Alex did. It might happen in the future, who knows? We're building something special, I think, there.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've said, if he wins a trophy, he's getting a statue.
Yeah. Outside of Villa Park. So, guys, I want you to all give me your score predictions for Sunday.
Go on, Jack. You go first.
The enviable position. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Spurs 1, Villa 2, just because I think like we've talked about, I think there could be a lot of goals, but I think it will end up being kind of tight because everyone's gonna be feeling pretty cagey about it, and there will be a lot of battles that could go either way. But I'll say a Villa win, just barely.
I'll go for the other way. I'm going to go 3-2. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Tottenham are going to pip it 3-2. You will score first, and then we'll come back. Don't ask me what order those goals will be in, but I think it'll be a high-scoring game, and we'll just nick it 3-2.
Harry, what do you think?
Loving Craig's positivity. Respectfully, I hope you're wrong, Jack, but you just never know with Spurs. You could be completely right. Craig could be right. What Tottenham's going to turn up, who knows? So I'm going to go bags back in the middle and go with a draw, which Spurs don't often do. Didn't do it much last year. Only done anything against Leicester so far this year. So I'll go with 1-1 in this game. There's definitely goals. There's no doubt about it. But I think both teams need a reaction. Spurs from our last league outing at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace, as we know, and you to dropping points against Bournemouth at the death, only get a point out of that rather than 3, and then being knocked out of the cup. So I think both teams need a response in a different way. You probably more so. I think a point will be better for you. I'm interested to hear both Jack and your thoughts on that. But I think a point would suit you.
Well, I'll tell you more.
Away from home and your start to the season and where you are in the league.
Well, I'm going to go 3-2 Aston Villa. I think it'd be a light winner. Or John Duran.
Oh, no.
It'll be a screamer, won't it?
Yeah, top bins.
Well, to finish, I'm going to read 2 comments. Keep it, yeah. So we've got Rick Leon's tuning in, all the way from California, in San Francisco. So, how difficult is it for anyone to play behind Debu, which is obviously Martinez? It is discouraging. Is it a great opportunity to learn for someone of his calibre how vulnerable is Villa should injury strike on number one? What do you make of that?
Of the California Lions in San Francisco, so one of our chairmen out there. So yeah, I think I was just telling someone yesterday that I think being a backup goalkeeper is a terrible job, but being a third string goalkeeper is a great job, because the backup, you're not playing with the team every day, you're not getting all of that match experience. So maybe it's good to learn from Martinez in training, but I think it's very difficult and discouraging is also a good way to put it, because you're never gonna have a better week than him in training and merit the starting role.
Well, one more comment. I'll come to one more. So it's 2-1 to Villa.
Yeah, hopefully, Siley, I would love to see a 2-1 to Villa. We're on the same page there.
Well, yeah, the Keith's got that on there. All right then, so before we finish, I'd say Craig and Harry, you've been great, and Jack, you've all been great special guests. And Craig and Harry, will you spread the word about my podcast, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been really good.
And me, really enjoyed it. Thank you. Sorry about being late.
Thank you, thanks, Jack.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Thanks, Harry. Nice to meet you guys. And just want to say to everyone, you always got to support Chad, support the Villa Forever podcast, and do your best in the fight against Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Chad's a great guy, one of the most positive villains out there, and I'm really happy to be on his show.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Well said.
Yeah, we can collab it on Instagram. We'll get that out there for you, Chad.
Yeah, thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, remember to subscribe if you haven't. And on the way out of this podcast, make sure to smash the like button on this video. Give it a share as well. And even give us a good review on our audio platforms, including Spotify. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Happy Halloween. I'm going to wrap up this episode with Villa Forever and Up the Villa.